What's up everybody, Teancum here with Sew Yeah Quilting. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how you make this retro quilt using a jelly roll. Let's get started. So to begin, what we're going to do is we're going to open up our jelly roll and we're going to take 40 of the 42 pieces and set them aside, and those other 2 pieces we won't be using for this project, so go ahead and throw that in the stash. And we will also need to cut some 2.5-inch strips of our background fabric. In the quilt that you see behind me, we use this nice white. In the quilt that I'll be doing today, we're going to be using this medium gray. Now that I've got my jelly roll open, you can see some of my pieces here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a singular cut, so I'll move these aside. I'll take a singular piece of my jelly roll, and we need to cut a couple of measurements out of this. I'm going to line it up with my cutting mat, and on my far left side of my mat, I will hang it over past my salvage. That way I can cut off my salvage and then cut everything from there. And what I'll need, let me move this just like this, is 2 8.5-inch pieces and 2 6.5-inch pieces. So I've got my 6.5-inch pieces and my 8.5-inch pieces, and then it leaves you with this stripe right here. Now, we don't want to waste this. The reason being is it will be one of the centers of this block that I'm making as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pile these back up together, make sure I keep them separate. And I'm going to cut another one at 8.5 inches. Let me put that on this mat. And put that aside to make some other blocks that we'll be making. Which leaves us with a little piece like this, very low waste on this project. I'm gonna put this aside like I said. So what we've cut so far is just a singular rectangle. Now we need to cut for the inside here, which we'll be using my gray for. Let me pull out one of my gray strips, slap that down. And we will need to be cutting this at 8.5 inches. Now that I've cut off my salvage, I'm going to cut at 8.5 inches, making this an 8.5-inch piece. Just like that. Again, save this because we'll keep using that throughout the project there. Now what we should end up with is we're going to put this gray strip right in the middle. Then we're going to take our 2 8.5-inch pieces of color, lay them right next to them, and 2 on the bottom, which will be our 6.5-inch pieces. Now it's going to look a little bit off here until we sew it all together, just to make up for those seam allowances. Let's get to the sewing. Now I'm going to grab my 2 8.5-inch pieces and I'll sew them here together. Now we're going to sew on the left side. Now it's time to attach the top and the bottom. Now that is what your block is going to look like, and it's kind of more like a third of a block, because in reality you'll have 1 going vertically, 2 going horizontally, which will make the finished block. So I'm going to make up a couple more of these and I'm going to show you how you put all that together. So I went ahead and I cut out my background version of this block, and I'm going to just show you how you do that. It's the exact same construction, except you're going to put your print in the middle, you're going to put down your background around it, like so. Bottom, top, and you're gonna sew it all together. We're gonna just do that right now. And take this over to the machine and start sewing. So now I'm going to go ahead and iron this, and again, iron to the dark side. It always helps the end result. Now that's ironed, it's time to add on the next side. I'm going to do that right there, just like so. Back over to the ironing board. Nice and iron here. Now add top and bottom, and you can do this step together and then iron them out while they're both together. So I'm going to do that now. Now I'm going to iron out both the top and the bottom here. Take this over here, iron this out. So now that I've got the one with the background fabric on the outside, and I still have my one with the print on the outside, I'm going to go ahead and make a couple more of these. That way I can show you how to make the finished block here. Let's do that. So now let me show you how you put the 3 blocks together, making the actual block in this case. Now, I've got my first one laid out. My second one will go right here next to him. And my third one goes on bottom like so. Again, gotta account for seam allowances there. And what we'll do is we're gonna flip this right over the top and sew it down the left side. So now this is what the finished block should look like. Go ahead and make a couple more of those and then put them all together, and I'll show you what that looks like. So after I put all my quilt blocks together, this is what my final product looks like. Now this is a super fun project to make, and I absolutely love pre-cut friendly quilts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this across the building to our in-house long armor to have this thing finished. Now, if you've liked this video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't be afraid to share it with your friends. As always, we're going to leave instructions on how to make this down in the description below. And if there's anything that you need, pre-cuts, notions, whatever it is, don't forget to check us out at SewYaQuilting.com. My name's Teancum, teaching you how to sew like a pro. We'll see you here next week at Sew Yeah Quilting.